All right, let's get right into it. Formula One is a sport of razor-thin margins, right? But what happened to Max Verstappen and Red Bull at the São Paulo Grand Prix, well, this wasn't just a small mistake. This was a massive, high-stakes bet that went completely, spectacularly wrong.
I mean, this is the question that just floored everybody. How on earth does a four-time world champion get knocked out in Q1? We're not talking about some rookie here. This is Max Verstappen, the guy who has been dominating. A result like this sends absolute shockwaves through the paddock.
And there's the number, 16th place. For a driver in the middle of a tight championship battle, starting that far back it's just a catastrophe. From that position, winning is pretty much off the table.
And just listen to the man himself right after he jumped out of the car. That's not just him being frustrated, that's him basically giving up. In that moment, you can just hear him thinking the championship fight is over. The disappointment is just, wow.
So, to really get how we ended up at this point, let's rewind and break down this absolutely unbelievable qualifying session. It truly was a Saturday the whole Red Bull team wants to forget.
You know what makes this so wild is the timing. Max was on an absolute tear heading into this weekend. I mean, he had incredible momentum, 6 podiums in a row, 3 of them wins. He'd fought his way right back into the title hunt, and then this, a complete implosion when everything was on the line.
From the outside looking in, it was just baffling. But inside that cockpit, it was pure confusion. So what exactly was going on from the driver's seat?
This quote right here really gets to the heart of it for Max. The car felt totally alien. He's saying he had no grip, but the really scary part is that last bit. We just don't understand. The team was throwing changes at the car and nothing was making it better. They were lost.
So it really wasn't one single thing, it was a perfect storm, wasn't it? A total lack of confidence because the car had zero grip, which then led to a mistake when he was pushing. And all of this was happening while nobody, not Max, not the engineers, knew why the car was so off.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and look at the team's side of this, because their explanation is where this whole thing goes from being a mystery to a story about a calculated risk that just blew up in their faces.
Red Bull's Laurent Mekies pretty much laid it all out. He said they knew they were in trouble way before qualifying even started. The car just wasn't quick all weekend. They felt like, at best, they were fighting for leftovers behind the leaders. And you know, for a team like Red Bull, that's just not going to fly.
So they got to a fork in the road. Do you play it safe, accept you're not the fastest, and just settle for a decent result? Or do you roll the dice on something totally radical to try and find a way to win? Well, this is Red Bull we're talking about. They chose to gamble. Big time.
And let's be super clear about what gamble means here. Mekies confirmed these weren't just little tweaks. This was a profound transformation. They basically tore up the car's setup and started over from scratch, hoping to find some kind of miracle fix.
And this quote from Mekies, it just sums up the whole story. The idea was to take a risk to find a better window of performance. But the result was the exact opposite. They didn't just miss the window, they fell out of the building. The gamble didn't just fail, it made everything so much worse.
So what did this failed bet actually cost them? Let's take a look at the cold, hard reality of the situation for the race and for the championship.
Yeah, this table just lays out the brutal truth. It's like the best-case scenario and the worst-case scenario happening at the exact same time. You've got Lando Norris, Max's main rival, sitting pretty on pole position. Meanwhile, Max is stuck way down in 16th. A dream for McLaren? A complete nightmare for Red Bull.
39. That was the points gap to Norris that Max was now facing. Trying to overcome that from the back of the grids, I mean, that's a monumental task in modern Formula One. It's nearly impossible.
But you know what's so interesting is how the team reacted. Despite this total disaster, Mekies defended what they did. He said this kind of audacity is who they are. They live by the sword, and sometimes they die by it. It hurt this time for sure, but they believe it's the only way they can be great. So really, to wrap it all up, Red Bull saw themselves backed into a corner. They weren't fast enough to win, so they swung for the fences with a huge setup change. It was a calculated risk, but their calculation was way off, and it gave us one of the biggest shocks of the entire season. And that just leaves us with this one massive question, doesn't it? In this incredibly tough sport, we'll have to wait and see. But it feels very possible we'll look back at this qualifying session in Brazil as the exact moment the championship slipped through their fingers.